I wasn't I wasn't familiar with Terry Williams or Angelo Ellerby or Marvette Bretto until after I launched my agency because I was like, I don't see anyone that looks like me. And so one day I just naively went into my job and gave notice, like, yeah, I'm going to start my own agency. I had these clients lined up that ultimately became non-existent when I launched my agency.
They became phantom clients.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I think I just had a vision, I had a dream, and I didn't have any like major responsibilities. So I just jumped out the window and launched my agency.
And you have no regrets.
I had a few over the years,
Depends
but
on the day.
I honestly can't see myself being or doing anything else. I've
Mhm.
tried to go back in-house over the years because entrepreneurship is hard. Today I could be like, it's a great day. And then tomorrow I'm like, let me upload my resume to LinkedIn. Um, and I've tried going back in-house. I've done it before, and it's just once you're on your own for a while, it's hard to go back inside.
Very much so. I relate to that completely. I worked in an agency setting. I was very frustrated about a lot of things. This was at the beginning of awareness about apartheid, and the agency I worked for had a South African brand on its roster. And anyway, a gentleman that I knew said to me, he is a independent literary agent and like the first Black literary agent in the country to open his own firm. But he said, listen, go out on your own. I said, what on earth are you talking about? And he said, I'll get you your first client. And he did. He got me the Arthur Ashe Tennis Foundation
Ooh,
gala. And then I've gone back in on house and in staff, and I've been a partner in businesses and different things and a chief marketing officer. I migrated into marketing. But I'm so grateful that I did that. And I was really young, but that's how you have to do it. And so many
yeah,
people's story has some version of what you describe of, people get backed into PR sometimes, or, having to create their own opportunities. And
yeah,
I think that's the extraordinary thing about being in business for yourself. It's like you're pulling it out of the air, to make it happen. But that's not magic, it's a skill. Like I tell people all the time, Black girl magic is hard work. So, you know,
yeah.
but yeah, that's amazing. Jaden, you're still young in your career. I don't mean that as a in a diminutive way. I just mean you still have a lot ahead of you. Are there areas that you want to explore beyond what you've done so far?
Yeah, no, I mean that's such a good question. And it's funny because I think that the thing that I enjoy the most about public relations is the media relations side of it, of the building relationships with different reporters, pitching reporters that, sometimes you can already tell there's not going to be a response to. Um, and so I think it's an interesting question, but fascinatingly, no. I mean, I really enjoy what I do as it relates to media relations and things like that. But I mean, I think that the field is so vast to to your point, the addition to creative departments and data departments and
Mm-hmm.
all these different sectors of public relations and communications. It's still so much growing.
Mm-hmm.
So I am looking forward to seeing all the things that I get roped into.
Roped into. That's an interesting choice of phrase there. Um, so you like the mechanics of it. There's a question here about, press releases and stuff like that. And, talking about pitching and media relations. One of the things that some of the feedback that we get from editors and journalists a lot of times is that the PR pitch is not pitch perfect. It's not, landing where it should land. People aren't always doing their research and that kind of thing. And a lot of people, question whether, the press release is as meaningful. So what are the circumstances in today's media market where a press release is absolutely needed? Is it for background or breaking news or product? Tell us, when it's the right thing to do to do a press release rather than just straight pitching.
I think that that's a really, really great question. And so the way that I conceptualize a press release is an announcement, a specific announcement, to be sent out to members of the media, whether it be you're launching a specific product or you're launching a new initiative or you're making a pledge of some kind that you think should be elevated to members of the press. So, the quotes that would be included in that is to reinforce why it's important. The facts, the stats that you include in that is to reinforce why it's important. And so to answer your question, I would say if you have an initiative that you believe rises to the importance that it should be written out with letterhead, with your header, subhead, your facts and stats, your quotes, if you feel like your initiative warrants that, then I would say certainly write a press release. But you do make a good point that, a lot of the times, as Axios says, smart brevity, a lot of journalists appreciate, condensed, sentences, not paragraphs, because folks are busy. I mean, we're busy and journalists are busy. And so it does take strategy and a thought process to understand when to best utilize a press release.
And your list, when you send out a press release, it needs to be targeted. I had a conversation with someone recently, like, I don't think blitzes exist anymore. Publicity blitzes. I haven't personally worked on something that had that impact. That's not exactly the right word, but you know what I mean, where it's just sort of, you can with one press release blanket the media for coverage. That's unusual in today's experience. Do you guys echo that, Drina?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because also our industry is very much built on relationships, and you don't want to send a press release to a reporter who is not their beat, and you're jamming their inbox up. Like, we've had that happen to some of the girls on our team before. They didn't do their due diligence and really create a targeted list, and then just was like, oh, they said to get it out to this outlet. Let's just get this person we can find and then send it out, hoping it'll pick up. And that's not the case. And people aren't always nice.
This is true. And, I mean, they have the power to say yes or no. And, we have to, it's an awkward relationship sometimes. So that's why relationships are so important. And part of, I'm sure you would all agree, that part of it is our credibility with journalists, delivering on that all the time. And I think it's very hard to come back from a miss.
Yeah.
Have you mentioned that some people on your team didn't do their research enough, and so how do you handle that and do you make it a teachable
Yes,
moment,
very much so.
or do you just fire people?
I love, like, Jalen, no, I don't fire. I'm not the firing type. I like to try to give people multiple chances, which is, good and can't be that great all the time with business. But like Jalen, I very much believe in the strategy. Like, that's the part that I truly love about PR is like, let's map out our plan. Let's outline our target audiences. Let's outline the outlets that align with those audiences, and how are we going to send out any communication as it relates to achieving our client's goal. And so if it takes you a few hours a day to build a list and do your research, because also our databases aren't always up to date, right? So you have to go to social, you have to go to, the internet and do your due diligence. It's just part of the work,
Which research tools do you use?
I'm a little bit out of that right now. My girls do it, but we are, we definitely have a Muck Rack subscription. They very much rely on social media because we're in this age now. I think, Tracy, it's just changed over the years. Like,
Oh
you
my
used to be
God,
able to
it's a
go
whole other
get a
thing.
magazine, look at the masthead, and figure out who was the editor covering what beat and figure out their email. That's how I started. But now you have these databases, you have social media where folks have their contacts in their profiles, and then just reading and sourcing actual articles that relate to the beat of the person that you're trying to pitch, right?
Reading is so important.
I think that's a lost art right now. I think,
Media. Yeah.
yeah.
We have to be consumers of the media. It's so important. But you know, I come from a time where I could pick up the phone and call a journalist at the New York Times, and they answered the phone, and an
I
editor
still
answered
make phone
the phone.
calls.
Yeah,
They'll make phone calls.
I
Yeah.
still make phone calls.
I
Yes.
miss that. And it's why I'm like, I'm not pitching. I'm not doing that. I've done that. But
Yeah.
you know, I think it's such an amazing skill to develop in this particular media client, you know, to figure out the avenues and how to connect. And you know, but journalists have told us that they are still open to doing coffee and, you know, lunch or whatever, but people don't reach out as much for that. And I
Mhm.
guess that's a physical thing too. Like we just,
Mhm.
there's just been so much time to navigate the city and be at your desk. You can't do it all. So is that something that you do at all anymore?
I do. I like to do virtual coffees now because it's also, I have 2 kids under 10. So it's also hard for me to kind of get into the city all the time. And so I have a virtual coffee tomorrow with an editor at Essence. And I said, hey, let's carve out time. I'll send you a Starbucks gift card because she wanted me to come to Brooklyn. And I was like, oh no, we can do Zoom. Sorry if anybody's from Brooklyn. It's just a trek from Jersey to Brooklyn. That's all I'm saying.
I live
But
in Brooklyn. Yeah, it's far.
I'm sorry, Tracy.
Oh, I'm a Manhattan girl. It's just always a shock to me. Like it takes me so long in a car to get to the bridge. You know, it's absurd. Like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the traffic. So I understand completely. It's just not conducive, you know, because then your whole day is gone for that one appointment
Yeah.
left the house
Yeah.
for. That's what's hard for me. So I'm very selective
I
about
think just also COVID like made it so where it's like people have gotten to this digital relationship building where you can just hop on a Zoom like this
Mhm.
and carve out time and just get to know folks that way. And so that's a big like proponent of like the work that we do at WIT PR. And what I encourage my team members to do is like go beyond just sending a pitch or a press release, like foster that relationship because that person that's at this outlet here today, they may not be there tomorrow or next year. A lot of the contacts that and relationships that I've built over the years, they started at very small publications and now they're producers at tier 1 shows,
Mhm.
editors at mainstream publications. And so I think it's just, for me, it's really been around relationship building.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. And you know, there are many different ways to go about it now. So that's exciting, you know, so you have to be creative and strategic. Ariel, what does the agency expect from people in terms of maintaining relationships, and do they, you know, what's your reporting like and that kind of stuff?
Um, well, the clients think that you can just call your media friends and then they'll write a story.
Yeah.
And but our like team and peers, they know that that's not how that works. So they are actually, I think it's, I don't know if it's just this agency or maybe it's me growing in the field, but they give me a lot more freedom to do that strategy work that y'all say, like building relationships. So like, for example, this, like they help sponsor my my membership for this so that I can start talking to journalists who are part of, you know, my community so that I can understand what's really going on, how to best pitch to people. I know at one point they'll say, you know, don't just pitch us X, Y, Z things. I'll have, you know, I have other avenues I want to explore too. So it's just nice that my agency lets us I guess kind of create our own expectations of what we want to do. Like for me, my goal is to try to get more long term, long form like media hits, like versus just like a quick little mention here and there. Like how can I get a good feature piece, or if somebody is doing like a series, do you think my, you know, I can get my account or my client to add some data or some commentary to this long form thing that's going to be on for like, you know, if it's a season, so then 8 episodes, so then you got like 8 hits right there. So those type of things is what my strategy is. I'm trying to get earned media. And then as far as just like how we do it is more so like Trina said, making actually really good media lists. Like people think that media lists are not like the thing that you need, or it's just like a anything. They really do help you out as far as like knowing what you did last time, knowing who actually responded to your email, how do they like for you to send these pitches, the time frame. Like don't send somebody something super early in the morning, you know that they're busy and they're going to see your email and get stressed out. So like, let me send it towards the end where they can actually have more time to read through the pitch. I know some will say that they don't like longer pitches, and I have some who do prefer the longer pitches because they have all the information, the way they can quickly tell me yes or no, or we just don't have time for something. So that's just my experience recently with all the changes I think we've experienced within the past 4 or 5 years of how like our industry had just shifted in a way we do outreach now versus how we did before.
Do you ask up front? Do you ask the journalist or the editor, how do you like to receive information? What's the
If
best?
I can, yeah, like if like Wadrina said, my virtual calls, I ask them straight up, like, hey, what's your style of pitching?
How
and
can I
it's
get your attention?
yeah, she one lady at a AP, she said, I don't read emails. I just she's like, unless you send me a text, I'm not reading them. So now I know I have to text her after I send an email, like I just sent you a pitch.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you have her number to text her, frankly.
Yeah.
You know, that's not always the case,
This
right?
is true, yes.
You know, so that's great. Just in general, you know, with the constant changing and evolution of media and all of that, where has AI fit in so far for all of you? Drina, let's start with you.
Ooh, well, I was a little bit late to the AI train. I tried to avoid it at all costs,
Mhm.
but it has helped me. Like if I'm drafting certain emails, it helps me refine that. We have someone on our team who uses it a lot for reporting. I know a lot of my girls probably use it to help with like, smoothing out their pitches or strategy decks that they're trying to put in front of me.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are trying to avoid it at first, but it can be super beneficial to your work, and help you work smarter, not harder. Um, so I've been a little bit slow to integrate it, but like even adding it to some of my calls, Otter, to help me take notes. I'm still like a paper and pen type of girl, but you don't always catch everything, right? And so, Otter does, or Fathom that we use.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Muckrack released a study, the results of one of its studies, you know, the state of PR, across agencies. They said the number one skill that people need to develop is AI. And I think, you know, that's really directed at people coming into the field also. So basically, Jaden, you know, you're a young man who was born in the lap of technology, right? This is all native to you. So do you find that you're very adaptable to the changes, and more so than other people around you because of the advantage of your age?
Oh, you know, I'd say yes and no. I would say first, I'm a huge proponent of Otter AI. I've used it for years. I used to use it in college. So in that sense, absolutely. And these tools have been with me for, with us, um, for some time. Of course, there was an advent of AI, I think around 2023. And so then, an increasing conversation about what the role AI plays in work, with your job. Is AI taking your job? Of course. Interestingly enough, I actually don't, with the exception of Otter AI, I don't really use AI a lot in the functions that I do, like writing a press release. I have my own template for a press release that I, usually build off myself, but I do see the benefit. And
Mhm.
so I see what Muckrack was saying, that, professionals, public relations professionals, we do need to understand how to leverage these tools in order to, increase the efficacy of the work that we do. Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, these tools are just that, tools. They still do need people essentially to function them.
Nothing can replace human intelligence, emotional intelligence, all of those things. How do you find it, Ariella? Have you incorporated it into your work?
Yeah, I'm like Dre. I was very slow to it too. I think I was slow to it because I'm like, I don't have the time to figure and tinker with this right now. So that was my hesitation. But then slowly but surely I'll like take little training courses here and there. Or I'll block out if I'm like super slow that week, I'll block out some time to like actually tinker with it. I'm not sure if y'all heard of Meltwater. We use
Yeah.
that tool. Okay. So Meltwater has this new like PR assistant tool, and I love it because if they say my account doesn't want to pay for PR Newswire or one of the newswires, Meltwater lets you send out a blast. So I'll send out a blast through Meltwater, and that's took me some tinkering for real to figure that out, how to get that to go. It is not like MailChimp where it was simple and easy. You had to really a bit know how to code to figure this out. So I was glad that I took coding in college because I had to, bring that
Oh,
skill
wow,
back,
that's lucky.
so I can get this to go. But like once I got it to go, it was good. I got to see who opened my emails, who didn't open my emails. Especially if there was like my friends, I would like text them like, I know you saw my email, just say yes or no. Don't ignore me.
I have a colleague
Um,
who has that tool, where they can see, and it's like she keeps checking, and well, they looked at it 5 times now. I said, well,
Oh,
unless
yeah,
you
we
get
use
stocks
that.
at home,
yes.
you just need to leave that alone. But I have a few questions I want to drill down on for you guys, that I think are really important to share. Uh, Drina, can you share how you go about attracting new clients?
Hmm.
And how much of your business is referral, word of mouth, and repeat?
95% of it.
Really?
I built my business. Honestly, I want to say within the last 2 years was the first time I've ever had to like respond to a professional RFP. All of my business has been word of mouth and referral based, which, is a blessing.
Mhm.
But also as like you continue to scale, like that's not sustainable, right? So you have to have like some sort of strategy for business development. I also didn't do a lot of marketing for a while. I did not like to be forward facing.
Mhm.
And so my team has really pushed me to do more of that over the last year or so, submitting for awards and all that, which has really been helpful to raising the visibility of the business, but also the work that we do. And so that has helped with like, we'll receive RFPs now. We'll have people reaching out to us on LinkedIn, like, hey, we have this project. But a good amount of my business is still based off of referrals from relationships that I've built over the years and just new ones that I've built over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, generally with independence, that's what you hear. But
Yeah.
as you say, like at some point you have to choose. Are there groups? This is for all of you to answer. Are there any public relations specific groups like on Facebook or other that you utilize to help you with your visibility, but not only that, networking with your peers and media? How is that? What does that landscape look like for each of you? Drina, we can start with you.
Oh, okay. I'm in on Facebook. I'm not really that active on Facebook, and I am a part of this group called the Relations SARS group. So they'll post like queries, also just other partnership opportunities. I was a member of ColorCom for a while, of course, PRSA. And I have a really great relationship with the ladies over at PR Girl Manifesto. Um,
Oh, Fatu's amazing.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then like, I'm an alum of Ernst & Young and Goldman Sachs 10 KSB, so I get a lot of relationships that way.
Okay, great. And Jaden?
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to shamelessly plug. So I met, the way that I got involved in NYABJ actually is I met Bill Allen, who I think is on
I
the
know
call.
Bill.
I see a Bill. If you are, hi, Bill. I met Bill Allen at the a Black Public Relations Society event, which of course, is,
Was that the National Publicist Day thing?
I'm really not sure. I'm really
Okay.
not sure, but I think it probably something similar.
I just know that he came to that one and he took pictures and everything. And I feel like I
Always taking
saw you.
pictures.
Yeah, he's always taking really nice pictures too. But yeah.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Is that
Is
Bill?
that Bill?
Oh, that
Oh,
was
that
me.
was me.
Um, so yeah, no. So Black Public Relations Society is an incredible organization that I would say is really good for networking, really good for professionals in any stage of their career. Um, I would also say, NYABJ is an incredible resource as well. There's so many public relations professionals. We meet regularly, and really, it's a built-in way for you to get to know journalists,
Mhm.
which you can leverage in your careers. Speaking of non-precise pitches, Bonita has told me multiple times that she's received a pitch from me that it was not in her, that she couldn't do anything with. So I probably removed her from our from media lists. But yeah, no, it's an incredible way to meet people in your community that above everything else want to see you succeed.
That's the key. Having a collegial atmosphere, right? And being a part of that. And, organizations like ours and NYNEBJ and other professional associations, like we have a relationship with the Black MBA Association, and stuff like that, because it's professionals at a certain level operating at a certain level. So that's important. How about you? I mean, um, Ariel, I know that working in an agency can be all consuming and you don't have a lot of time for networking and stuff.
Yeah, I usually use my job as where I network. Since
Mhm.
I've been to or worked at several agencies, I'm still very good friends with a lot of people from all my previous agencies. And so they've moved around since then as well. So it's just like getting more like we'll just all group together on our own and just like talk about what's new in the industry, what's going on,
Mhm.
how the job markets, who's hiring, who's not hiring, and stuff like that. So that's usually how I network. I network within my especially, if the Black people is only a handful of us, so can easily find us.
Easy to find. What are some bits of wisdom or strategy that you would give to people looking to break into the field, and or people? There are some journalists who've been you know um, downsized or whatever, who are looking at a career in PR, as a possible change. What kind of entry advice would you give? Where are the ports of entry that you see for those folks?
Oh, definitely. Now that they're paying people now for internships and fellowships. If you're new, I would say start searching fellowships like, right before you graduate or like right after you graduate. With whatever agency, if you want to go agency route, if you want to go in-house, have a list of those and start off with the fellowships. I know a lot of people at my agency who have been fellows, they 9 times out of 10 get hired on. And then the sky's the limit with your career. You can start booming. Those are good ways to get in. Also, like talking to people, networking. I feel like two of my last jobs were just people who referred me. I didn't even apply. They was like, I think you should work here. So that's how I was able to get those jobs. I was like, great, do they pay more? So that's also a good way. Like just continue to talk to your friends. And if you don't have friends in PR, start finding some friends in PR. Like start with like the group that Jaden said. Like start
Mhm.
just talking around. You don't have to be like creepy and weird with it. Just start having whatever hobbies you have. I'm sure somebody else in PR has that same hobbies. Just start really connecting. Relationships is really how I feel like in my personal experience of how to really thrive in this industry. It's not as big as people think it is. It's actually kind of small now because of it's transition. People will come into this industry and think it's something that it's not, and then you try to change it into something that is not, and that's not what PR is. It's, do you know how to communicate with people, and do you communicate with a range of people, and then when they tell you certain feedbacks, are you able to accept it and then use it for moving forward? And I know a lot of people, that's kind of hard to do that, especially if you're a straight and narrow type of person. Though then PR will be challenging for you because it's not a straight and narrow type of career. So just definitely keeping your eyes like open to all of the different possibilities that PR can do. Like I mentioned earlier at the call, there's agencies that are bringing in all those like different departments. If you're want to do creative, you can start venturing into the creative side. If you're more of a strategist, you like to build out the plan versus the execution type of person, then how can I go and start focusing on insights and strategy? So like with PR now, I feel like you can do a lot more with your PR degree versus just how it was before.
Now, a lot of people enter the field, they don't have a degree in PR or communications, but the great thing about however you get into it, they're very portable skills. Would everyone agree? Yeah, you can take them from industry to industry, but also evolve into different kinds of roles, What would you say is the apex of a career in PR for you from your perspective? Like, when will you feel, when you achieve, is it a rank of office, executive promotions? Is it billable hours? Is it, bigger freelance gigs? What is it, for you? Because you're so busy, do you ever stop to think about where am I going exactly? Or is it something, like, I know when you own your own business, very often the story just gets told as you're, as you're making it happen. It's not always, but you must have some goals for your company, for your career. So I'm just interested, like, what for you guys in your roles, like what would be a great indicator of, okay, I'm successful now, and maybe you've already reached that,
I personally think I already reached it. I went to school to be a film publicist. Eventually, I got wooed into PR because of the Cannes Film Festival. So I was thinking that's what life was like. And so then I got a film PR job and I was just like, oh, I've made it. And then I was in my early 20s. I was like, life is grand. And I got fired from that job. So
but you learned what
right. So
so in your
that was success for me. I was done after that, y'all. Y'all can tell me nothing.
That's so funny. In your journey of doing experiential events and campaigns and stuff, what are some of the tools to get exposure, beyond, like, it's not just all earned media, right? Are you in lockstep with marketing initiatives around that stuff as well?
No, when I worked for Rubenstein, I'm not sure if y'all are big Broadway people, but we had a show, it's called the Cher Show. And what our claim to fame for that show was, what we had Bob Mackie that was doing all the set design, and Bob Mackie was like, I'm free range for media. Like, do I have the time? You just set me stuff up. And so because we had him, we was able to, get these top tier outlets interested in wanting to come. So then my boss was like, how do we make this a step further? And she's like, let's invite celebrities. So we had to use those research. This was back before we had anything. So I was for real cold calling like celebrities, PR people to be like, can they come out here to the show so we can just create our own buzz? Because Broadway PR, everybody's fighting for Broadway PR, Broadway media. And so we was like, sure, let's create a list. And so like that list helped us create our own buzz. And then boss was like, how do we take this even a step further? Like, so she just kept like, success for her was like, we kept doing these things that seemed out of the pocket, seemed out of the box type situation, and we kept exceeding it. So it just depends as far as like what your expectations is. And then like on the same front, we had the Time 100. Well, everybody wants to be at Time 100. So that was so easy to get people to come out to the point where we get to have 3 carpets, an A carpet, a B carpet, and a C carpet. And then how do you build or manage relationships? Because what if you put somebody on a C carpet and they get pissed off at you and they're not covering your stuff no more? Or you put the wrong person on an A carpet and then next thing you know, they're asking silly questions to people where you like, this is not the time for that, you know? So that was, I would say, the challenge for that. But as far as getting media coverage for Time 100, that was super easy compared to, you know, getting coverage for the Cher Show.
Sure. I did theater marketing for years, Broadway and off Broadway and arts organizations. And I, you know, there was a time, and it's very recently, that there's a diversity of people. And I'm not speaking just of people of color, but just different kinds of firms doing PR for Broadway. It was very by the book, the same thing. You got the reviews, you got a feature, you know what I'm saying? It was like everybody wants the New York Times. They place the same ads, you know, and being in the ABCs and the New York Times, which, you know, was, I said, oh my God, if I ever have to sit in an ad meeting and have this conversation again, I'll jump out a window. But, you know, it's evolved, and there's more talent, innovative talent, doing the marketing, I guess, because, well, I mean, it's just a different marketplace. But one of the questions we have here is, what is it like working with celebrity clients, and what advice can you give people on that? Drina, do you want to field that?
Sure. What is it
I
like
want
working?
all of you to answer that, but go.
For me, I think I've worked with celebrities in different spaces. So we've had clients who are celebrities in the activism vertical, celebrities that are, you know, in a mainstream pop culture vertical. And so I think it's just any sort of interaction, you just have to know it's you're there to do a job. You're not there to become their friend or to take selfies. I think because the way our industry has kind of been glamorized on social media over the last, I want to say 5 to 10 years, you know, a lot of people come into this world with a different perspective on what they think PR is. And so I always tell our team whenever we are working with someone high profile, it's just like, we're the background. We're there for support. There's no room
Not
for
your party.
not your party. I better not see you taking a selfie. That's not what we're doing tonight. Because ultimately they hired us to do a job. They hired us to help manage their brand and help tell their story. And how can you do that if you're trying to be in the front along with them? And so like I come very much from the world of we wear all black, we stay behind, we are a few steps behind, we do advance. We're there to get whatever they need in the time, and then we're there to control, not control, but help manage any media interviews that they do.
The flow of everything and
The flow, the
okay.
questioning, the talking points, all of that.
Love
Glam,
that.
you know,
Mhm.
we've had to get clients undergarments at some point on a media tour, and that's not
In
necessarily
there.
our job, but you have to just jump in and do what's necessary.
Absolutely. Um, Jaden, have you had experience working with high profile individuals?
Um, I have. I don't think that I have much to provide that would be in any way as wise as what Drina just provided.
Okay, fair enough. Ariel?
Yeah, I've worked with quite a bit of celebrities, and like Drina said, the same different verticals, like whether it's financial celebrities in that finance world or pop culture celebrities. I've had sports uh people, their different ball game. I've had them C-list actors and actresses that think they're A-list, and so to have that delicate balance there. I've had A-list celebrities that, are really cool. That was when I worked for sure. When I worked for a film, I had that like on an ongoing basis. when I started working for like products at Taylor Strategies, like we had Bullet Bourbon and those type of things. So like the celebrity was more so the product, if that makes sense. Like that was the celebrity there. And then like for us here, like the celebrity that I work with would be a mayor. Like that's the celebrity that I work with. So I just had to again learn the different like how you interact with these different people. If it's an entertainment person, they're a bit more dramatic with things, you know, that may not be what they were expecting, versus if I'm working with a product, the product is not going to say anything to me. The product doesn't care, you know, what it looks
A lot
like.
of code switching.
Yeah, yeah.
Switching,
I
right?
wouldn't even say code switching. It's just more so knowing who you're talking to, knowing who the audience is, and
Well,
knowing.
yeah, I didn't mean it in a negative way. I just
Oh,
mean
no, no,
you
no, no,
have
no,
to
no.
be conversant on
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. You have to understand what's appropriate for the different clients and
I
circumstances.
would say more etiquette is the thing. Yeah,
just be
it's more
professional.
etiquette. Yeah, just the
Yeah.
etiquette part. I've seen people who at agency will go crazy with, like, they'll be like, "Why didn't you tell me you was working on that client? What you gonna do? Like, was you gonna join us?" Like, it's just weird stuff like that. You have to work with your peers. And then just I noticed like why I do get hired on for those particular accounts is because they know Ariel's not gonna, like Dre said, I'm not gonna take a selfie with.
You're not going to be starstruck.
Yeah, like I'm sure we all fangirl or fanboy on our own terms when we're out of work, but I think as professionals, which is probably why we enjoy this, we cut it off. Like we just know to cut it off. So it shouldn't be any problem. And it's sometimes, you know, you have these people and you realize they're not even that fun to be around. So I just want to make it extremely
Exactly.
professional, because I want to, you know, I want to end this on a good foot. That way you don't come back here. That also sometimes is the goal.
So we're almost out of time. We had one question from someone in the audience wanting to know what is the biggest downside of working in an agency?
Definitely time. Like you sometimes can get onto a project and you enjoy it, and then you realize you on a swivel because you got to go work on something else. So honestly, the time to put in those little extra small details or efforts with your projects can be exhausting at times, and or overwhelming to where you kind of wish you were just working with one brand, but then something cool will pop up like next week and you're like, oh, this is fun again.
Okay. So, and one other question, Drina, this is for you, I think. Craig Stanley said this was great. He wants to know in particular, because you have your own business, how do you manage billing, charging, and understanding your value worth separately if there's, yeah.
Honestly, I was just on a Zoom call right before this with some of my Goldman Sachs cohort members, and I was just telling them about a discovery call I had with a client yesterday, who I know through public information and just them sharing on our call that they are anticipated to make 30 million this year in revenue. However, when I gave him my price range, and I gave a range because he kept asking throughout the call, well, how much is this going to cost? How much is this going to cost? Which is always like a red flag for me, because it's just like, let me send you my proposal and show you how we're going to implement everything we just discussed here. And also, I just know you don't do that with white agencies, right? I gave him my range, and then, which is industry standard. And my friend who recommended us just touched base with that person and was like, how'd it go with Drina? He said it went great, but her prices are high AF. And I was like, but it's really not.
It's really
I think
not.
that's something honestly, that's something I struggled with for years before I even went into my Goldman Sachs program, because like I was saying earlier, I built my business with nothing. And so I didn't know how to write an invoice. I didn't know how to do a contract. All these things, Google helped me very early on in my career. Granted, now I have a team of folks that help me. But I struggled for a while with charging what I'm worth. And I think because also a lot of folks will come to us after they've worked with the larger agency where they've paid like 30K a month in a retainer and then expect a discount. And I used to operate from a space like, hey, yeah, I just want to get that business because it'll be a great brand for us to have as on our roster, that I would take a reduced monthly retainer, but I wouldn't be able to meet my overhead. And so that's just a challenge that as an entrepreneur, as a Black woman in this space, competing with these larger white agencies is something I definitely struggled with over the years. But now I have some Goldman Sachs mentors and folks that have helped me over the last year with really making sure we're profitable and we're charging what we're worth.
That's wonderful. And congratulations,
Thank you.
making it through that muck, because I understand what that is. I have had a lot of difficult conversations over the years.
And it's mostly because folks also like, just because we're a Black agency, they just treat us a lot differently than, they would a white firm.
Exactly. So let's close on this note, because you mentioned the Goldman Sachs and having these mentors. I want to each of you to tell me about how mentorship has played a role in your career, and do you mentor? So Drina, and we'll go left to right. Go ahead.
Mentorship has played a major role in just my career as a publicist and a PR practitioner, and then just being an entrepreneur. I have folks that I've worked with back when I was working for the city of Newark, Mayor Booker, who have become like mentors and family to me that have helped me navigate different avenues of balancing like my professional and personal life. And then growing my business, I've had mentors that have honestly helped me develop my stronger, tighter agreements, um, my rate cards. And so it's been extremely helpful to me and important to me that I have folks that I can go and ask questions to, because entrepreneurship is very lonely. And also PR is also a very hard industry, right? You get a lot of no's, you get a lot of, folks aren't always the nicest. And so I've made a concentrated effort to make sure that I'm always available for folks who have questions, for entrepreneurs who have questions about their journey. And that's why I've also been very intentional about making sure we hire people that look like us, because we don't always get the opportunities that our white counterparts receive.
Yeah, it's part of our noblesse oblige, right?
Yes.
Jaden, how has mentorship been for you so far since you've been out of school?
I could not overstate how important mentorship is to me. My entire life. I mean, my college professors who, took me in, weren't taken aback by my way too many questions in class and really entertained my foolishness. You know, folks like Tracy who introduced me to folks like Bill, who introduced me to folks like Bonita, and Cynthia Horner and all the amazing people across NYABJ. It's been so invaluable to me, and I do mentor, and I tell people that I speak to, particularly younger people that I speak to, is that oftentimes, when we're thinking about networking, so much is focused on networking up, making a relationship with a senior vice president or making a relationship with another manager. When there's so much value in networking across people who may have, associates like you, or people who are in similar, experience trajectories as you are, because those are going to be the people that you are going to be climbing the trenches with. My best friend also works in PR, and I find, we're just texting back and forth asking like, do you know the best person to go to for this? Oh, do you know the contact for this? Oh, what do you think about this pitch? Can you read this press release?
Yeah.
And it's honestly helped. It's honestly helped so much. And so, I really appreciate that question. I think that's such a fabulous question.
Oh, well, thank you. Ariel, how has mentorship played a role in your career? We're all out of time. I'm just letting you guys know. But go
Okay,
ahead.
mentorship has definitely been great. I have, like you said, I have friends that are in this world. One of my best friends too is in this world. She's in Los Angeles, so we talk from coast to coast about the different nuances and just the work that we do. I just love being able to talk to other people about what I'm experiencing, what are my challenges, and like, you know, what are some ways that you're doing to like also continue to with that professional development. I think that is very important with mentorship. I haven't really had the opportunity to actually like mentor anybody, but like interns and fellows always like coming to me for like one-off questions. So
That's
I guess
okay. I know
that's
how to reach you now. We have a mentorship program we're launching. I know how to reach you. We'll get you an
Send
You're
them my
getting
way.
voluntold. You're getting
I know.
Just
You
letting
have
you
my
all know.
email now, Tracy.
Exactly. This has been really a pleasure talking to you guys. I could talk to you for another hour. It's really great. And I appreciate the opportunity again from NYABJ and Bill Allen and Benita, just so graciously inviting us into the process and the conversation. And I hope to talk to you guys again, and we'll reach out with some of the things that we're doing to help perpetuate some of the things that you guys are talking about that are so meaningful in trying to make a career, and not just a career, but a life. And that's what I tell people sometimes about PR. You know, no, you don't need to become friends with the clients or the celebrities, but you do get to have some amazing experiences and meet some brilliant people who are challenging the status quo or boundaries of art or whatever it is in literature. So I'm always happy to meet comrades in that experience, and I thank you all so much. You're so generous with your time and your words. So it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully
Thank
it
you
will help
so much.
everybody.
Absolutely. All right.
Have a good evening.
Huh?
I said, have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you. You too, guys.
And you feel free to find me on LinkedIn if you like.
Same
Okay.
here. I'm Drina Whitfield Brown, also Drina with PR on
Yeah, and Black Public Relations Society is at BPRSNY. I was supposed to say that. I forgot. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Trina.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So again, a pleasure. All right. Good night, everybody.
Night. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for this discussion. This is Will Patterson from NYBJ, the secretary.
I will.
Thank you for coming in for this. For anyone listening, our next general body meeting is on Thursday, November 14th. And also, if you liked this whole discussion, this will be posted on our podcast, The Sidebar by NYABJ, in the coming weeks. So go on Spotify, Apple Music, as soon as you get off this, subscribe, maybe even listen to a few episodes, leave a great review, and you will get
I didn't know that. I would have had my makeup done if I knew that. Got that beat.
The Sidebar by NYABJ, it'll be up in the coming weeks.
Perfect. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Will. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.